Hey everybody, welcome to Talk Daily. Today we're going to be talking about the Chevy Corvette Z06, the 2023. I think one of the most exciting cars coming up for 2023. This article comes to us from Motor Trend and written by Frank Marcus. And as always, I have a link to this article in the description below. So if you're not aware of, Chevy has presented a 3.4 hour long webinar, slideshow, whatever, explaining to you what's new about this engine. And obviously the media had access to it, and that's what I'm writing at this report. So without any further ado, let's go with basically the pictures. I mean, look at the engine. Look at that. That's naturally aspirated. The thing is like the most amount of horsepower you get from a naturally aspirated. Anyways, it's a dual overhead cam, 32 valve, flat plane V8 small block. It's not really a small block, but whatever. It's iconic 4.4-inch cylinder bore spacing, which ultimately defined the engine length. It was developed by the small block engine development team responsible for all recent variation. It's a GM small block V8, and a Corvette Z06 cylinder block construction method and valve terrain are completely different. So there are two things that makes this engine a small block. It's iconic 4.4 cylinder, as I mentioned. And anyway, so it's not really a small block, but kind of is. And this is something really, really neat. Look at that. I love when these engineers take it. I mean, there's so much passion and love in making this engine. Look at that little cute rocket. It's called Project Gemini. Think about like the space shuttle. We're talking about, the whole project going to the moon, and it's beautiful. It's saying we learned the project name last year, chosen because of twin cam, twin throttle body, and pendulum, twin valve spring, twin fuel pump. It's just amazing. I'm not talking about the rockets right there, but Chevy recent webinar divulged the fact there will be a 54 such rocket on each LT6 engine. Most are internal, and some are used for practical purpose. These etched on piston crowns, cam bearing caps, rod bearing, big end. I'm just talking, I'm smiling. I love when people put so much love in making these vehicles. Look at the cam. Look at holding the cam. I mean, it's just come on. If you don't see like at this point, like this, it's gonna be such an amazing car, and there's so much love went into making it. It's wonderful. It's amazing. And here's something crazy. You could actually build your own engine. What? You have to pay for it. I mean, it says, look, Chevy's considering reviving the option for buyer to build and sign their own engines under the watchful eye of Pro, of course, but and they'll pay dearly for that privilege, however, as it slows down the production line. But come on, if I had the dineros, oh man, I'll pay. Somebody, I build it. It's come on, I love it. I love it. Okay, of course, another block, sealed bay, dry sump. Of course, it has a dry sump. Okay, it's not like my car is like my 4G63 or my whatever, or my other engines that I like, which I love to have a dry sump. This has a dry sump. Of course, it's a dry sump. You're literally buying a race car, race technology in that car. Anyway, so both the C08 Corvette, the Z06 LT6 engine, and the C8, C as in Charlie, string ray is string lays. Oh man, come on, Eddie. Get it together, Eddie. LT2 feature dry sump lubrication, but the 6.2-liter crankshaft is retained by a typical bed plate, and a separated oil pan is open to all cylinders. The LT6 featured a one-piece lower crankcase design that sealed off each pair of cylinder into separate bays. It is an extended block by 10 dowels and fastened by 20 bolts. Okay, the whole thing basically means that, under extreme G's, you still have a pot of oil for you to lubricate the rest of the component of the engine. So, again, that design is straight up from the race. Literally, this is race technology. This is all designed when you lateral G's, when you're taking very heavy turn right or left, where all the oil goes one direction. This guarantees, well, ensures, there's no guarantees of life, but ensures there's enough oil available to the engine to operate under those conditions. Lateral G condition, that is. It doesn't have to be lateral, of course, it be forward and backward, right? When you under brake and under acceleration, any form of acceleration. Anyway, so moving on, the cylinder block, precision and sand casting. That's something Ferrari does, by the way, if you didn't know that. To form the mold for this complex two-piece block, a sand resin mixture is used, sometimes blown into cavities to form the shapes. It takes 22 core weighing 675 pounds to form an upper cylinder bank, and surprising 25 core weighing 800 45 pounds to form the smaller lower crankcase part with all its elaborate oil passages. And I kind of give you an idea. So right there, the block core package, that's for the top and the bottom. I mean, to me, is mind-boggling. It's just crazy. This is just the bottom hand. You see the crankshaft goes in here. It just, oh, man, it's crazy. It's amazing that Chevy's doing this. This one too. Baby powdered block. Wow. Many of the cores that form passage where fluid will flow are tested with this fine talc powder, which fills in the void between the grains for smoother casting and improves flow, especially in areas that are too small, tight, or remote for steel shot blasting. This is basically about making the surface very smooth, okay? When our cores are treated and assembled, molten aluminum alloy 319 is poured in at a temperature of about 1,350 degrees. The block then gets a T7 heat treatment, high heat, quench, then lower heat, and aging to improve the strength and reduce residual stress. You'll be familiar with that if you, I kind of like, part of my hobbies, I like to make knives. So you kind of become familiar with this kind of treatment, high heat, make it really hot, you quench it, you lower the heat, and aging, etc. It's basically just to strengthen the block, but I mean, okay, let's put it this way. Your average car does not get any of this treatment. Any. So next time when you're just driving your car really, really hard and you're flooring it and you're like, yeah, I'm a race car driver, this car can do this all day long without any issue. Our engine, why my car burning oil? That's why your car is burning oil. Your engine is, not, the tolerance on our engines are not as good as these, Anyway, cylinder block, 2-stage machine. Again, if you have one of those cars, then you don't have that problem. So, Anyways, cylinder block, 2-stage machining. Both the upper block and the lower crankcase of the new 2023 Chevy Corvette Z06 get partially machined, leak tested, and flow tested before being bolted together and torqued before final machining is done. Actually, that's something that AMG does. So, we'll give it that. And AMG is handmade, by the way, too. Most of it. The bone crank board is the diameter is measured and reduction. Yeah, that's standard. I'm not gonna say that. Anyway, press inline plate cylinder lining. Gray iron cylinder liners are ended up 1 millimeter thick, are deep frozen and inserted into a hot engine block, coming to rest at a tiny shelf at the bottom of the cylinder board where they're expanded to lock in place. That's actually a very neat way of doing it. Then built aluminum deck plate is bolted on to simulate the torque cylinder head before the bore is honed to ensure against bore distortion. Okay, so they're talking about basically, again, they're just guaranteeing that all the component will fit, because you're looking at two different type of materials. You're looking at aluminum bolted for steel, etc. So they're making sure that expansion due to heat is... all the stuff is basically accounted for. Again, this is basically accuracy. That's what we call blueprinting an engine, but they're doing it from stock. So now more technical things about the block between the LT2 and the LT6. And, you can pause the video and read all this stuff, or to go to the article and check it out. But long story short is this. It shows the green part is the Stingray LT2 casting. The yellow indicates the machine surfaces. The gray is the LT6 engine, which you can see basically fits inside the LT2. No, the LT6 cylinder bore is slightly larger, while its stroke is 12 millimeter shorter. Plus, its shoulder piston lower at the deck height by 23.7 millimeter. Again, it's just basically saying it's a little bit different. It's a little bit lower. If you look at an LT6 block, even physically, it looks different. The C8 between the LT6, it's a little more like squished. Okay, again, probably for lower center of gravity. Again, it's defined. Zing. Oh, I'm using zinc. Between a forged flat plane crank with only 4 counterweight. Again, I just talking about the piston. The coating of the piston, they reduce it by 32%. The counterweight, 32% less than an LT2, 16.7 pounds. So they're just making it lighter. When you have less rotating mass, you obviously have a happier revving engine. Once it could redline higher. So they're talking about 8,600 RPM. Oh, jeez. Forged rods and piston. Again, that's a lot of us. We do that when we build our engine. We put forged rods, so that's nothing new. 5 cams, 3 chain valve terrain. The 5 cams? Oh, because that's the one right here. Oh, gotcha. So that's interesting. I'm familiar with the dual cams, obviously 4 cams, but the 5th cam, short roller chain powered fuel pump cam. So this is for the fuel pump cam at a half crank speed. Nice. So that's what you're looking at right here. So wow, interesting. So hydraulic phase. No, anyway, so it's kind of interesting. I don't remember. Let me know if you know of another engine that uses that technology. I don't know where you need a cam to power the fuel pump. Interesting, but that's what I have here. So they have 5 cams in total. Lashed for life. Oh, the lashing. Oh, okay, good. So you don't have to adjust the latches. Honda S1000 people. Yeah, you don't have to do that on the Corvette. Done. It's eliminate hydraulic lifters, mean never worrying about life, pump up or bleed down. That's excellent. So hydraulic lifter freed mechanism of the enormous task of adjusting valve lash decades ago. That's good. So you don't have to do it. Less maintenance. And what's up with the valving? They're talking about different valve design. They ensure those valves are closely fully at 8,000. Because when you're revving really that high, your valves will float, meaning will never shut. Sort of, if you look at the combustion chamber, you see your valve like this intake and this exhaust. The valve would never sit completely because it's revving so fast, right? The spring doesn't keep up. But they're saying they figure out the solution by using titanium. Again, those are the things we're familiar with. If you're building your engine, titanium valve spring, etc. That's why we do all these things. Again, this comes stock now. 8 quarts of oil. That's fascinating. I love this picture. This basically shows where the oil flows. Look at that. It's like when you're studying anatomy and you see, like, for example, when someone does like a 3D flow of like how your blood flows in your body, right? And you can all the chambers, etc. It kind of looks like that because that's basically all these cavities of where oil will be in. 8 quarts. 5W50. That's what I put in my Evo. You can go straight up 50. Be all gangster. My car needs nothing, just 50. Yeah, but 5W50 is what this takes by 8 quarts. And that's great because that means that, because the oil degenerates, so that gives you a lot of oil to work with for track sessions, etc. Very nice. 6 scavenge pumps, so naturally 11 psi vacuum. That's amazing. Again, because 8 quarts of oil. I mean, it makes sense. 33. What's your psi? 12 psi. A sustained 11 psi vacuum in each bay. A reduced windage loss at 3.5 horsepower. It's about a quarter that available. Okay, so again, that's more technicality, but look at the cooling. I love this picture. Look at that. That's a radiator pump. Oh man, the red part above are new to 2023 Corvette Z06, the new center radiator, which comes with a partial cover, the driver remote, along with a front license plate for track work. Stronger fans for the outboard, 2 radiator, 450 watts up front, 300 in the rear, and an additional auxiliary radiator for oil cooling circuit. It's just amazing. A new AC compressor was also needed with 22% lower pulley ratio to survive the 8,600 RPM. 8,600 RPM. I mean, I love it because, when I keep looking back at people like to modify in cars, and when we see how the pros do it compared to us, we understand the valve terrain, right? Titanium valve terrain, etc. But none of us thinks about the pulleys on our AC. We just pull out the AC. And then on a hot day, we're just sweating it in the car. But it's just fascinating to see all these components working together. Look at the hoses. Oh my god. I mean, I know it's a midship engine, okay? One of my friends has an Umar too. Yeah, I understand. There's hoses, but nowhere near this complexity. It's amazing. I love it. What you're getting is amazing. Value for money. Hot side fuel injection. Another IndyCar racing inspired first for GM is placement of fuel injector down underneath the exhaust manifold, pointing up at the downward facing intake runner for optimal air fuel mixing. Unique cylinder head water jacket and heat shield keep the injector cool. Injector pressure 1,450 to 5,076 psi, are 75% higher than those used in the LT2 and the LT4, of course, because of injection, which enables the high compression ratio that delivers increased power and torque. The injector each features 6 laser drilled holes and can flow between 12.9 and 24 gallon per second. Are you grasping these numbers? This is what you're getting when you get the Corvette. Each one of those things should be just a metal. Like whoever the engineer who made it, just give it a little pin, say, I did that. That technology, nobody has it. Nobody has it. No Ferrari has it. McLaren, Bugatti, blah, blah, blah. Made in America. American engineering. IndyCar technology in your car. I'm sorry. Look, I think to me this tops it. This car tops it. I know Bugatti, blah, blah, blah. Nah, I'll take this over to Bugatti any day. I'm not trying to start a feud. Bugatti's luxury, I got it. But I'm just saying, this is just amazing. This is so clever. This is clever. This is like a P-51 Mustang, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like that's what makes America amazing. You know, it's just the tech, it's technology. You know, when we want to, it's just, here you go. And it's reliable. I bet you it's reliable. Okay, I will bet it's reliable. I think so. I mean, you know, it's an American car. You can fix it with a hammer. What could go wrong? Exhaust system. We learned all about the center exhaust with parabolic reflector tips last year, but now we know the sound valve can adjust in 2-degree increment. It claimed first to vary sound instantaneously to suit each drive mode. Back pressure is reduced by 21% relative to the C0706, and the system is 20 pounds lighter than the equivalent LT2 system. This is more and more one of those subjects that also is fascinating to see how technology has advanced with it. Back in my day, we just removed the exhaust, put a bigger exhaust. Hey, look, mod done. Now look at the technology that goes in this exhaust. You really don't want to remove this. Of course, some company will take this and advance it. That's understandable, but the stock exhaust is amazing. Okay. I'm not saying that the only one who does that. Okay, Porsche has a lot of cars do that. They change the sound of the exhaust. Anyway, through Gemini twins LT6 and LT6R racing engine. That's the racing engine, obviously. You can tell from all the fitting. The first thing, when you see those blue fitting, yep, because that basically means no point of failure. These engines were co-developed and share most of their major component: a block, head, valve terrain, fuel system, and different partition to race car packaging. Anyway, so they're talking about the race engine. That one revs to, so the race car required intake restriction plate means there's no reason to rev it beyond 7,600 RPM. If you didn't know that about racing is actually not as much fun as when you buy the private car. Really, I've driven a race car and it's extremely uncomfortable and it fits only to that track and it's not as much fun as you think. You know, all the gizmos that you have in it's usually doesn't get passed down to the race car. The race car is more like coilovers, basic, no ABS. So anyways, makes sense. You know, in this case, I never driven a Corvette race car. I'm just saying that I'm not shocked by this, that, you know, the factory one goes to 8,000 plus and the race car only goes to 7,000 because they have a lot of restriction, right? If the racing, the let go, million horsepower, go ahead, and that doesn't happen anymore. Everything has a restriction. There's a lot of rules, FIA rules. Anyway, so here's by the numbers. Look at the engine. It looks so compact too. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Again, it's a midship, so don't forget it's a midship. 2 pounds heavier than the LT2 with 175 more horsepower. 30 pounds lighter than the LT4 with 20 more horsepower. 8,000 RPM. Oh my God. 544 computer analysis project were carried out tuning the system. 110% volumetric efficiency. 12,606 engineering hour invested in the project. The lubrication system can cope with 1.25 G of continuous lateral longitudinal acceleration. That's longitudinal. That's the braking, accelerating and braking. The fuel injectors are accurate by 65 volt operating system, actuated, by 65 volt operating system. The calibration engineers had to cope with 41,000 tunable parameters. Okay, you know when you have AM tuning system? You know when you have your Apexy, whatever tuning? Oh my God, I have my tuning. I'm going to tune my percentage of my fuel. 41,000 tunable parameters. That's why I don't believe in tuning anymore. I believe in an older car like a SR20 DAT engine or something basic like that. But if you're tuning this car, I mean, I'm pretty sure people could do it. I'm pretty sure as a company is going to tune this car and make a lot of horsepower, but you're going to pay dearly for that. You're going to pay a lot of money for that because there's a lot of parameters. 8,600 RPM. There's a cylinder firing event every 1.75 milliseconds. Just feast your eye on this data. I think it's amazing. I think the new Corvette Z06 is going to be fascinating. I think it's wonderful. I think just buying it, and even if you don't drive it, you just say, I have, it's almost like buying those really expensive watches, and you just like, the fact that what goes inside of that watch, I know it just tells the time. I know this car is just going to drive, and most people are not going to race things in this, but the fact that it has all this technology, it makes it very attractive, it makes it very wonderful, and good job to GM. Good job at everybody working at this project. Congratulations for everybody working there. They made something that's amazing and makes you really proud to be American. It makes you really, and I put a smile on my face. And I know a lot of people all over the world is gonna enjoy this car. It's gonna be a hit. It's gonna be wonderful. It's definitely not gonna be cheap. No way. But that's not the point. Even the word cheap sounds bad. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be economical and but that's not the purpose. It's a wonderful machine. Congratulations to Chevy. Congrats to GM and all this engineer who worked on this project, the Gemini project. Again, on this very long video, how long have we been going? Oh man, we've been going for a minute. Thank you everybody for watching. If you're as excited as I am about this, let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching and stay safe out there. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.